Sorry about that. So, as I was mentioning, right, he is confirming all the things that Laurie says about him, right? Looking at the bra like he doesn't know what it's for. She makes the comment that he's probably getting ready for his interview, right? And as we can see, he's using his telekinetic abilities to pull his suit and clothing out of the closet there to kind of assist him and get him ready. So the effect that this has for us from the subject to subject, right, is as she's narrating what he's doing and what the problem is, right, we're seeing it actually happen, not in real time, but we're seeing that she's 100% correct about him and his behaviors. Let's look at another question. What do you notice about the colors used in Dan and Laurie's panels, right, these three, versus Dr. Manhattan's panels? Well, when we look closer at these, right, first, Dan and Laurie's colors in their panels are much brighter, right? Usually we associate brighter things with being like happier, but obviously in this panel, Laurie is crying. But when we compare it to Dr. Manhattan's panels, right, his panels are very dark, right? Mostly washed out in dark blues and dark greens. The question, why do you think the artist used these colors, right? What effect do they have on the reader? Again, usually bright colors are associated with something that's happy or positive, right? So maybe the author is communicating that even though Laurie is not in a wonderful place emotionally, that at least while she's hanging out with Dan, it's still a positive thing. And then when we look at Dr. Manhattan, right, and his colors, we usually think of dark blues as being a color for depression, right? And loneliness in some ways, especially because he's this singular figure in the panels. And now I want to show you how do we turn those answers into your analysis paragraph, right? So the first couple of questions, right, our answers were the artist uses subject to subject transitions, and it lets us know exactly what Dr. Manhattan is doing while Dan and Laurie talk, and it confirms that Laurie is right about his being distant. The colors used in Dan and Laurie's panels are bright, but Dr. Manhattan's panels are darker and mostly shades of blue. Right? Readers usually associate bright colors with happiness and muted colors, especially blue, with depression. And then putting that all together, right, you would say, Alan Moore and Dave Gibbons use subject-to-subject transitions and a mixture of bright and muted colors to create a scene with a lot of emotion. Right. Moore and Gibbons' use of subject-to-subject transitions lets the reader know, you would add in this answer, and their different the use of different colors also lets us know that blah, 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 right? Literally just taking your answers and recycling them into a paragraph length response. That's what you'll be asked to do using our discussions. Again, I'll be kind of providing the framework, the questions that will go into those discussions, and we'll kind of workshop those all together, and you have a note sheet to keep track of those. Let's preview your text choices, right? You have a choice between reading Fun Home, the two parts of Mouse, the two parts of Persepolis, or Blankets, right? They're all about the same length. Just as a quick note, right? Persepolis is only available for juniors and seniors. That's administration's rule, not mine. Sorry. However, if you want to read that on your own, not for my class, but if you want to read that for your own, the links are there. Let's look at Fun Home. Fun Home is a family tragicomic, right? It's a 2006 graphic novel memoir by the American cartoonist Alison Bechdel, author of the comic strip Dykes to Watch Out For. It chronicles the author's childhood and youth in rural Pennsylvania, focusing on her complex relationship with her father. The book addresses themes of sexual orientation, gender roles, suicide, emotional abuse, dysfunctional family life, and the role of literature in understanding oneself and one's family. Mouse, which has two parts, is a graphic novel by American cartoonist Art Spiegelman. It depicts Spiegelman's interviewing his father about his experiences as a Polish Jew and Holocaust survivor. The work represents Jews as mice, Germans as cats, and Poles as pigs. It begins in 1978 in New York City. Spiegelman talks with his father, Vladek, about the Holocaust experiences, gathering material for the comic. Much of the story revolves around Spiegelman's troubled relationship with his father and the absence of his mother, who committed suicide when he was 20. Her grief-stricken husband destroyed her written accounts of Auschwitz, which is why Art Spiegelman is asking his father all these questions. He wants to make sure that that history is preserved. Persepolis, it also has two parts, is an autobiographical series of bande dessinées, or French comics, by Marjane Satrapi that depicts her childhood up to her early adult years in Iran and Austria during and after the Islamic Revolution. Marjane struggles with her identity, religion, politics, and sexuality, all while trying to navigate living in a country undergoing a major political and ideological upheaval. Again, this one is only available to juniors and seniors. And Blankets. Blankets is an autobiographical graphic novel by Craig Thompson, published in 2003. As a coming-of-age autobiography, the book tells the story of Thompson's childhood in an evangelical Christian family, his first love, and his early adulthood. Though written chronologically, Thompson uses flashbacks as a literary and artistic device in order to parallel young adult experience with past childhood experience. Major literary themes of the work include first love, child and adult sexuality, spirituality, sibling relationships, and coming of age. Okay, so you have access to all four of those texts, right? When you click on the item that says Fun Home, Mouse, Persepolis, and Blankets, they're all hyperlinked. I suggested during class that students kind of take some time to preview the art styles, maybe read the first couple of pages, just get a feel for what the comic is like. And while you're doing that, ask yourself mentally these questions, right? Does the history or time period interest you? Does the format, right? Some of these are PDFs, and some of them take you to a website that allows you to read the book digitally. Does that impact your reading? Can you see yourself reading this text over the next 3 weeks, right? The expectation is that you would have it completely read by the end of spring break. Are there any items such as vocabulary, images, the style, etc., that confuse you, right? And kind of keep those things in mind. Once you've figured out which text you want to use, please click on the survey link. It'll open up this one. It asks very basic questions, right? Give your name. Which text are you selecting to be your text of choice, right? Please select one. And then there's a spot at the bottom for you to ask any questions or make any comments, etc. And I'll be looking at that to make sure that I answer those questions sooner rather than later. And that is what we worked on during class. Thank you for watching. Your action items, right, are decide which text you want to read and complete that survey. The sooner you do that, the better. And then make sure that you read at least the first 10 pages or so of your text before our next class. I will start doing those small group discussions, just like as I demoed with Watchmen, right? But using a page from the first chapter, at least, of each of those texts. As a reminder, academic check-ins are on Wednesdays from 12:55 to 1:15, and student support is from 7:45